Hello and welcome everyone to the world of Semstar online classes. I am Shubham Chopra, social science teacher. Today in this video, I am going to take up the first chapter of political science for class 9, that is what is democracy and why democracy. So students, in this presentation we shall see about what is democracy and why is democracy needed. Now, very simple definition of democracy is mentioned here, that what is democracy? So, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. So, students, as we all know that India is a democratic nation, here we have got democracy where the people elect their representatives through elections. So, democracy is a form of government, or we can say it is a mechanism through which people rule through their representatives. Now, students, we are going to take up the examples of various countries all across the globe to understand the real meaning of democracy. Students, now many countries in the world, they try to or pretend to be democratic nations, but they are actually not. So with these examples we'll be able to understand more clearly that which countries are actually democratic and which countries just are trying to pretend to be democratic, but they are actually not democratic nations. So starting up with the first example mentioned in your textbook is of Pakistan. Now, why Pakistan under General Pervez Musharraf should not be called a democracy? So, students, to understand this example, we have to roll back in time. We have to go back in history in the year 1996. Now, what happened in the year 1996 in Pakistan? General Pervez Musharraf led a military coup and overthrew a democratically elected government and declared himself the chief executive of the country. Now, military coup means he, with the help of the military, he pressurized or compelled a democratically elected government in Pakistan to resign, and he himself declared as the chief executive, that means the leader of his nation. Later, he conducted a referendum which was based on malpractices and fraud. He changed his designation as president in the year 2002. Now, students, what he did is that he organized a referendum. Now, what is referendum? Now, referendum is a system of direct voting where the people have to vote in favor or against the notion. So, with the help of military, and he misused his power and pressurized the people of Pakistan to elect him as their leader, and later on he changed his designation to as president of Pakistan, and he also got an extension of 5 years for himself through this referendum. Now, in August 2002, he issued a legal framework order that amended the Constitution of Pakistan. According to this order, the president can dismiss the national or provincial assemblies, that means the central level parliament or the state level parliament. He provided himself unlimited powers now, so he was in a position to even dismiss the parliament of Pakistan. The work of the civilian cabinet is supervised by the National Security Council, which is dominated by military officers. After passing this law, elected representatives have some powers, but the final power rests with military officers and General Musharraf himself. So, because of these reasons, Pakistan under General Pervez Musharraf should not be called a democracy. So, students, let's get back to the definition of democracy. What it was written there? It was written that democracy is a form of government where the rulers are elected by the people. That means the rulers. Now, who are supposed to be the rulers? Rulers are supposed to take the final decision. But in Pakistan, a democratically elected government was compelled to resign, and General Pervez Musharraf, with the help of military, declared himself the ruler. So, can you consider him as an elected leader? No. And because of this reason, we cannot call Pakistan a democratic nation. Now, taking up another example, which is of China, which is also mentioned, that should we consider the elections held in China as democratic elections? Now we look at the situation in China. Now, Parliament of China, which is also known as National People's Congress, it has nearly about 3,000 members elected from China, from all parts of China, and few candidates are also elected by the army, the Chinese army. Now, students, in China, there is a single party system which is in practice, which is very much unlike in India, where we have multi-party system. We have got many national level political parties as well as state level political parties, but in China there is only one single party, that is called the Communist Party of China. So before contesting elections, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. Only those who are members of the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied to it were allowed to contest elections. Now, talking about the allied parties. Now, which parties are known as allied parties? Allied parties mean the supportive parties. Now, I'm taking up the example of India, where the party which is in power is BJP, the majority party, but it has got many smaller parties which is providing support to BJP, such as Lok Janta Dal from Bihar and Shiromani Akali Dal from Punjab. Now, these are the two allied parties to BJP. So, similarly, in China also there are 8 smaller allied parties to Communist Party of China. The government is always formed by the Communist Party of China. It is very clear because there is no other option for the people to choose from. They have got only one option, that is Communist Party of China, and but obviously that party is going to come into power every time. So, can we call elections held in China as democratic elections? Clearly, no, because people hardly have any choice. Now, coming to another example of Mexico, which is one of the Latin American countries. Now, should we consider the elections held in Mexico as democratic elections? Just have a look. Since its independence in 1930, every election was won by a PRI party, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party. Opposition parties did contest elections, but the PRI used many dirty tricks to win the elections. All those who were employed in the government offices had to attend its party meetings. Teachers of government schools used to force parents to vote for PRI. Even media largely ignored the activities of opposition political parties except to criticize them. So in Mexico, students, there's always been a democratic rule, but all the elections since 1930 till 2000 had been won by a single party called PRI. Why this party was able to win all the election? We all have studied it by now, that they have utilized many dirty tricks to be in power. They even utilized media to criticize the opposition and to ignore their activities, and they also compelled the government officials to force to attend their party meetings. They also compelled the teachers to ask parents to vote for PRI. So, by utilizing so many dirty tricks, and even PRI also utilized its power to change the polling booth or the election centers at the very last minute so that people could not be able to vote against them. So, these are the many malpractices utilized by PRI to be in power, to remain in power until 2000. Sometimes the polling booth were shifted from one place to another in the last minute, which made it difficult for people to cast their vote. As I've explained you, the PRI spent a large sum of money in the campaign for its candidates. Now, taking up another example, that is of Syria. Now, Syria is a small West Asian country. The ruling Baath party and some of its small allies are the only parties allowed in that country, very similar to China. Now, which are the countries deny equal rights to vote and how? Now, three examples are given that regarding voting rights to people. Until 2015 in Saudi Arabia, women do not have the right to vote. Now, taking another example, that is of Estonia, has made its citizenship rules in such a way that people belonging to Russian minority find it difficult to get the right to vote. Means Russians are in the minority in Estonia, and the rules and laws are such that they find it very difficult to get themselves the right to vote in Estonia. Now, talking about another nation, that is Fiji. Now, Fiji is one of the trans-Tasmanian island nation located near Australia and New Zealand. Now, in Fiji, the electoral system is such that the vote of an indigenous Fiji has more value than that of an Indian Fijian. So, here we can see that even though all the people have got the voting rights, but the value of all the votes are not equal. Now, another last example is of Zimbabwe, that how is Zimbabwe government undemocratic and autocratic. Now, in Zimbabwe, has been ruled by ZANU PF, that is the party that led the freedom struggle. Its leader Robert Mugabe is popular but also uses unfair practices in election. So earlier Zimbabwe was also under white minority rule, but it got its independence under the leadership of Robert Mugabe and his party known as ZANU PF. Zimbabwe had been ruled by ZANU PF, the party that led the freedom struggle. Its leader, Robert Mugabe, is popular but also uses unfair practices in elections. Over the years, his government has changed the constitution several times to increase the powers of the president and make him less accountable. Opposition party workers are harassed and their meetings disrupted. Public protest and demonstration against the government are declared illegal. There is a law that limits the right to criticize the president as well. Television and radio are controlled by the government and give only the ruling party's version. The government has ignored some court judgments as well that went against it and has pressurized judges. So, after reading all such points, what we have understood is that although ZANU PF was a democratically elected government in Zimbabwe after it has got independence from the white minority rule, but the popular figure, that is Robert Mugabe, the revolutionary leader, he started misusing his power. He also made many amendments in the constitution of Zimbabwe and provided himself unlimited powers to unlimited powers. He provided himself unlimited to suppress the opposition parties. So what we have understood is that in a democracy, to be popular is necessary, but it is not always important to be popular. It is also important to be responsible. So what we have understood is that a democratically elected government must be limited. That means it should have got certain limits. So how we can limit a democratically elected government is through a set of rules and regulations which is called as constitution. So student, this is the first part of this chapter, that is what is democracy and why democracy. I'll be back with the second part. Till then, keep learning, keep watching.